Hey everyone, Midits here. A long time ago, I made a video talking about my top 5 Roblox games. This is obviously a super old video, so I wanted to check these games out again and see if my opinion has aged well. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and let's get straight into this. The first game I talk about is a game I've mentioned countless times across the history of my channel, that being Lumion Legacy. This game was released by Llama Train Studio in 2019 and acts as a sequel to their previous game, Pokemon Brick Bronze. While I have had some critiques of this game in the past, I want to first start off being positive. Just like with the original, the game mechanics are very Pokemon-esque, but it does have some unique features like the energy system that make it stand out a bit more. The story is fairly interesting, especially for players who experienced the original game, but if you couldn't care in the slightest about a story mode, you can trade, look for gleamings, this game's version of shinies. Depending on what you want out of this game, you can get a lot of time from it. I certainly used to. I remember getting my team to the highest level of the game after it first came out, catching every Lumion, and finding a shiny just for the sake of completing a side quest. Eventually, a feature called Mastery was added to the game that was very similar to the Pokedex and Legends Arceus, which came out a year later. I'll delve into the story a bit too, since I do consider that the main draw. You begin your Lumion journey after mysterious tablets your father discovers magically fly away, and it's now your job to find these tablets, and hey, you might as well challenge the battle theaters while you're on your journey. Along the way, you meet Jake, one of the protagonists from Brick Bronze, and 3 new characters of Lucas, Lucy, and Mabel. During your journey, you run into the main antagonists, a group by the name of Pollute Corp. I feel like the game does a great job of having mystery in the story that lets your mind wander to what can happen next. It makes you excited for when the story will continue. But now, of course, is when I get to my major problem with the game: development time. The game was first released in 2019, and 5 years later, it's still only halfway through its story. That's especially concerning since the title screen of the game kind of implies this is a series. That doesn't mean there are no updates. There are some side content and event updates from time to time, but I do personally believe it is harmful to the game overall. What made the original game so much more popular in the first place was its story, and the fact that it doesn't seem to be the game's biggest priority is a big reason why the game hasn't had as much staying power on sites such as YouTube. You know what, I don't want this to just be another Lumion Legacy video, so I'm gonna cut it here. Lumion Legacy is an incredible game, but it has some glaring issues that need to overcome. I still do think that it belongs on my top 5 list. After Lumion Legacy is one of the only first-person shooters I genuinely enjoy, Arsenal, and every time I come back to this game, I still have a really fun time. Arsenal was first released in 2015 by the development team Roll. Most games will involve either 2 or 4 teams, and you have to kill a bunch of players until you can get a weapon called the Golden Knife. If you manage to kill someone with that, you and your team win the game. This is a very simple base, but the game is a ton to build upon that. There are a large number of maps, and 3 are randomly selected each round, players being able to vote for which of the 3 maps they want. I doubt there will be too many times when the same map is played over and over again, and even if you do get duplicate maps, the vast majority of them are really fun. There are so many weapons that I was genuinely shocked when I scrolled down a list of them all and it just wouldn't end. There are also quite a few game modes, although I will say that the more out there and bizarre game modes don't often get voted for. All these aspects come together to create an entertaining and unique experience each round. I apologize I can't go into as much depth to these games and their background as I did with Lumion Legacy. While I don't have that huge of a connection to this game, it's just a consistently fun time throughout, and once again, still belongs in my top 5. After that, I talked about kind of an odd game, that is Mega Fun Obby. I used to play this game a ton, and I think the first video on my other channel was a video of me playing this game. There's honestly not much to say about it. It's a big obby created by the developer Blockstone back in 2009. There are over 2,700 stages, with new stages slowly being added across updates. It is a surprisingly big game, having over 1 billion visits, and I do think that this is my favorite obby. That is if you don't include the old Shovelware Studios obbies, may those rest in peace. I'm not even close to being done with this obby after years of playing it, and it honestly really interests me that this game has slowly been updated over such a long period of time, because I'd imagine, in a way, this game kind of shows the evolution of Roblox itself, and new challenges are inevitably added that weren't previously possible. Honestly, I thought that this game would be knocked out of my top 5, but looking back on it, I still think it belongs where it is. I used to enjoy a lot of obbies and also tycoons, but I feel that my opinion on those types of games have kind of soured over time, but I'm glad that it's not the case with this one. The next next game I talked about is also a bit of a shocker because, despite it being a massive game, I don't think I played it that often, that being the iconic Jailbreak. I'm going to say it right now, this is no longer my top 5. I'll talk about it because it is a great game, but it's not something I'll be coming back to that often. Jailbreak was first released in 2017 by Badimo. The game allows you to play as one of two groups, a police officer or a prisoner. As an officer, you start the game at a police station and have to stop prisoners from breaking out of jail or stop criminals from robbing places. As a prisoner, you start in jail and have to break out to become a criminal. There are multiple different strategies you can use to escape prison, and it's not a very complicated thing to accomplish most of the time. You then have to try and rob different stores across the map for cash. The map is pretty decently sized, and there are quite a few unique places to steal from, so you're not just going to the same place over and over again. While you can of course have fun by yourself, I'd recommend that you play this game with other people because it can be really fun to do a collaborative heist. This game still isn't worthy of being in my top 5 though. There are some other games I would prefer over this in most instances. The further we get through, the more I wonder why I decided to choose these games specifically. The last game in my top 5 from before is an adaptation of the well-known Minecraft minigame Skyblock, released by easy.gg in 2020. One thing I will note is that the game was originally called Skyblock, but later was renamed to Islands to set itself apart. One thing that I was very surprised to learn is that apparently this game is over. It has just completely stopped receiving updates since November of last year, and from the looks of it, they decided to stop focusing on this game and instead work on bringing another Minecraft minigame to Roblox, with that being Bed Wars. Even if I didn't play this game that much, it is a huge shame for people who are fans of it. Similar to Minecraft server versions of Skyblock I've seen, you can farm resources on your island, and there's a hub to do side quests and other things. I do remember this being kinda fun, but I don't remember it that fondly, and the fact that the game receives no more updates means it's not my top 5 anymore. Now, I could just call it a day and end the video here, but I currently only have the top 3 Roblox games, so I want to fix that. Here are 2 games which I want to replace Jailbreak and Islands with as part of my top 5. The first is a game that, while maybe not as big, feels like a lot more enjoyable of an experience compared to Jailbreak. That is Emergency Response Liberty County. It takes place in the titular area of Liberty County, and there are so many fun ways to mess around this game. There are jobs you can do across the city, you can be a regular civilian and purchase a house, or you can be a criminal robbing places. This game is probably the best car physics I've ever seen in Roblox. I love swerving around like a complete maniac, crashing into lampposts and maybe even other vehicles. Trying to rob places with your friends is a great time, and some of the most memorable moments I've ever had on Roblox were from this absolutely wacky and insane moments I've had in this game. If there's a game that deserves to be on this list, it's this one. The final game that I want to talk about is a game very similar to the first one I mentioned, which is Doodle World. This game was released in 2022 by Doodle World Studios and is a spiritual successor to the developer's previous game, Project Pokemon, which I also used to play quite a fair bit. Project Pokemon didn't have that much of a story, so I was pretty surprised with how much interesting world building this game delves into. You're a trainer beginning your journey to compete in a challenge called the Key Hunt, which was created by a large company called Doodle Co. You eventually meet some rivals/companions in the characters TJ, Quincy, and Susie, and you have a lot of different groups of people who are obstacles in your path of finding the keys. Once again, it is really shocking to me how much care is put into this story, because despite the fact that this game didn't have a prequel like Lumion Legacy did, I still really want to know what happens at the end of the story, because it is just all built up so incredibly well. There's also just a ton of content to do in the game, and even if I never went into as much depth with it as I did Lumion Legacy, players who do will be rewarded with a huge and entertaining experience. While story updates have been taking progressively more time, it is impressive that this game is already at around the same point in the story as Lumion Legacy in only 2 years, especially with the size of the map and the sheer number of different types of doodles. If you've played Lumion Legacy and you want something new and surprisingly a lot more challenging, you have to give this game a shot. So, in no particular order, my new top 5 are Lumion Legacy, Arsenal, Mega Fun Obby, Emergency Response Liberty County, and Doodle World. Honestly, I'm super happy with this list. All of these games I've sunk a ton of time into and could see myself playing again. But man, there are honestly so many games on this platform that after 7 years, I probably haven't even scratched the surface of what Roblox has to offer. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out some of my other content. If you really did, subscribe, comment down below about any Roblox games you enjoy, and I'll maybe check them out. That's gonna be it for now, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.